Below is the opening installment of the novel-length narrative, an immersive, slow-burn retelling that begins the moment Catelyn Stark steps onto the mud-slick stones of King's Landing. It runs a little over 5,000 words, roughly 35,000 characters, so the pacing stays measured and leaves ample room for expansion. Whenever you're ready for the next continuation, just say the word and I'll unfold the next segment. Enjoy the journey. Dawn smeared gray rose across Blackwater Bay as the Merling King nosed into her berth, sails sagging like exhausted lungs after a long voyage south. Catelyn Stark stood beneath the creaking yardarm, cloak whipped by briny wind, and stared at the mist-shrouded domes and spires looming beyond the harbor. King's Landing was a city of promises and knives, of smiles laced with quicksilver venom, and she could almost feel its heartbeat, furtive, conniving, thudding beneath the cobbles. She had arrived once before, years ago, when Brandon rode at her side, and betrothal had been a bright banner fluttering before youthful eyes. But that dream had perished in wildfire and madness, and the city's scent of smoke now reminded her more of funeral pyres than feasts. She thought of Winterfell's clean cold air, of Robb's earnest laughter echoing in the yard, and a tremor of homesickness fluttered within her ribs. Yet duty anchored her feet. The letter clutched in her gloved hand burned with secrets that must reach Ned, and reach him untouched by Littlefinger's silken nets. She disembarked with Sir Roderick at her flank, the old knight's cheeks mottled red by the brine. Guards in crimson cloaks patrolled the pier, their golden lion badges winking beneath cloud-dimmed sun. Lannister presence everywhere, she noted. Too many crimson cloaks for simple honor duty. A quiet alarm chimed in her mind like distant bells. "Remember," she whispered to Roderick. "No names, no sigils. We are traders from White Harbor, until Lord Varys himself confirms our safety." Sir Roderick inclined his snowy head. "Ay, my lady." His hand never strayed far from the hilt of his sword, though his joints ached from the damp. They passed warehouses where rivulets of tar seeped between planks and gulls screamed overhead like gossiping courtiers. Catelyn's eyes lingered on every alley mouth, every shadowed doorway. Word from Maester Luwin had spoken of daggers forged in Valyrian mystery, of a hired knife that should never have slipped into Winterfell's chamber, save that someone here in King's Landing had paid him. That someone, she suspected, wore a mockingbird pin and smiled with lips too sharp. They rented a modest litter and wound uphill through streets that tightened like a noose around the Red Keep. Fishwives bawled prices, urchins darted, and the sour tang of tanneries mingled with spiced arbor wine. From a curtained window, Catelyn glimpsed a painted girl blowing kisses to a passing sellsword. Even pleasure here seemed edged with menace. When at last the crimson bulk of the keep heaved into view, she felt its weight press upon her chest. Thrones were heavy things, and the stones housing them heavier still, laden with whispers, betrayals, bones. Roderick tugged the litter's panel aside. "We enter Spider's silk now," he muttered. Within the cavernous belly of the mountain, torches sputtered gold against damp walls. A eunuch in flowing violet silks materialized as if from steam, his powdered face glowing in torchlight. "Lady Stark." Varys's voice rolled smooth as oiled satin. "Or should I greet a northern merchant widow?" His painted eyebrows arched with theatrical curiosity. Catelyn wasted no breath on courtesy. "If your little birds have sung that much, they can sing the rest to my lord husband. Where is he?" "In the Tower of the Hand, doubtless drowning beneath ledgers." "Come." "Oh." He offered an arm. She did not take it. Varys's sandals whispered along flagstones, a serpent sliding through grass. They climbed and turned and climbed, until her calves burned. Varys spoke of trifles. Summer's length, the drought in Dorne, but his eyes never ceased measuring Sir Roderick's sword calluses, her own clenched jaw. At a door of heavy oak, guards stepped aside at his flutter of fingers. Eddard Stark looked up from parchment strewn across a trestle table, the first gray of worry lining his beard. His face lit in quiet relief. She crossed the chamber swiftly, letter thrust forward. Read. Ned broke the direwolf seal and scanned Maester Lewin's precise hand. A hush gathered, torches crackling like distant hearthfire in Winterfell's hall. When he finished, his eyes, ice and iron, lifted to hers. Littlefinger. One of your own advisors, Catelyn hissed. My sister warned us to trust no one with Lannister gold in their purse, and Littlefinger's purse shows too many creases for clean coins. Varys folded hands like a man awaiting the next act. Lord Baelish is chaos in silk, true. And yet accusations require proof. A dagger of Valyrian steel with a dragonbone hilt, Catelyn replied, voice low. He told me once it was his. Then he lied, naming Tyrion the owner. A lie meant to set wolf against lion, while the mockingbird watched. Ned's jaw tightened until sinew stood out. If Littlefinger set this snare, he may share wine with those who killed Jon Arryn. And those who plot against us still, Catelyn added. Sir Roderick cleared his throat. We have the blade, my lord, hidden safe in my saddle roll. But a knife alone will not topple Baelish. Ben? No, Ned agreed, eyes drifting to the rush-covered floor where embers danced in a brazier. We need confession, or witness. Varys's soft chuckle slithered across the table. A man so fond of games seldom confesses when pieces remain to play. Then we make the game unwinnable, Catelyn said. She looked to Ned, to Varys, to Roderick, feeling resolve harden like northern ice. We expose him before the court, before the queen, before the council, before all King's Landing. Let every whisperer carry the tale that Pettier Baelish sent a cutthroat north to slay a boy. Once the realm smells blood on his hands, even Lannister gold cannot scrub it clean. Nah. Ned studied her. In his eyes, she read pride, worry, love. It is dangerous, Cat. More dangerous to let his plots coil unseen. She answered. Jon Arryn's corpse lies cold. Bran nearly joined him. How many more before daylight burns the cobwebs? The hand of the king straightened. Very well. Varys summoned the small council at midday, full attendance. Make some excuse. The eunuch inclined his head. Shall we say, a matter of coin and security? Lord Baelish never declines talk of coin. Midday then, Ned confirmed. Roderick, keep the blade close. Cat, you will speak when the moment comes. She nodded, heart thrumming like a hawk's wings. Somewhere in the city, Pettier's laugh drifted over silver goblets. And perhaps for the first time, a ripple of unease stirred beneath his studied insolence. The council chamber smelled of parchment mold, and candles burned too long. Sunlight slanted in dusty shafts through narrow windows as the councillors assembled. Grand Maester Pycelle stooped beneath chains, Renly Baratheon, green-cloaked and smiling, Lord Commander Barristan in white, Lord Baelish himself, flashing a gleam of polished mockingbird upon his doublet. Only Lord Stannis was absent, still brooding on Dragonstone. Baelish's eyes skipped toward Catelyn, widened in practiced surprise. Lady Stark, King's Landing gains grace, and Winterfell loses it, alas. She did not rise to his bait. Ned addressed them. I have convened you regarding an attack upon my son Brandon, and the perpetrator who ordered it. Pycelle rasped. We were told young Bran fell from a tower. He survived to speak a different tale, Catelyn cut in. Voice steady. He was pushed, and afterwards a sellsword was paid to silence him in his bed. A ripple crossed the table. Lord Renly's smile thinned. A grave charge. Do we know who paid this killer? Sir Roderick stepped forward, unwrapping a cloth from the dagger. Valyrian steel winked darkly, ancient ripples dancing along its edge. Gasps fluttered. This blade was taken from the assassin. Baelish leaned forward, eyes narrowing. A handsome piece. But how does it guide us to a pair of coin? Catelyn felt every gaze pivot toward her. She inhaled. Because you once boasted the blade was yours, Lord Baelish. Silence fell sharp. Even torches seemed to still their crackle. Baelish blinked, parted lips. Aye, he echoed softly. I've owned many blades, my lady, though memory of each may fade. You recalled this one well enough 3 moons past, Catelyn pressed, when you told me Tyrion Lannister lost it to you in a wager. Later you told my husband the same. Nendero. Renly arched a brow. Tyrion denies it, I believe. Ned faced Petter squarely. A man's word might err once, but a lie repeated is confession. Baelish's smile wavered, then returned sharper. Confession, my lord. I remind you, Valyrian steel is not uncommon among high houses. Perhaps Lady Stark misheard amid the tumult of her grief. I misheard nothing, Catelyn said. She withdrew another parchment. Lysa Arryn's trembling hand describing Littlefinger's counsel and plots, the gold passing through his fingers like water. Jon Arryn's widow warns that you paved the road to her husband's grave. Pycelle croaked, disgraceful speculation. Renly's gaze flicked between parchment and dagger. Speculation perhaps, yet 2 roads now point toward one man. Baelish. Pred empty palms. Daggers. Letters. Widow's tears. Yet no witness stands to swear I hired a killer. A soft cough emerged from a corner. All turned to see Varys guiding a hooded figure into the chamber. A rag seller's rags and blackened nails. But when the hood fell, the sellsword's eyes glinted cold with recognition. I swear, the man growled. The one who paid me bore a brooch of silver, shaped like a bird in flight. Catelyn watched Baelish's poise crack like thin ice. Color drained. His tongue flicked across his lips. Barristan Selmy stepped forward, voice as sure as a drawn blade. Lord Baelish, until these matters are resolved, surrender your weapons and titles. Guards, escort him to a secure chamber. Armor rattled. Baelish rose slowly, gaze fixed on Catelyn with something that might have been admiration twisted by hatred. Such fire, my lady. Careful it does not scorch what you love. Now. But his protests vanished beneath clang of steel. The crimson cloaks marauding the city for Lannister cause now looked elsewhere, without Baelish's whisper, their web frayed. When the doors boomed shut, Ned exhaled. Around the table uncertainty lingered. Plots uprooted leave soil raw. Wall. Yet in Catelyn's chest surged fierce relief. One serpent caged, countless yet slithered, but this victory would ripple outward, unsettling Lannister designs. That twilight, bells tolled from the sept of Baelor. Solemn, but not for death. Rather, rumor rang louder than bells. In Winesink sailors spoke of a northern lady who unmasked the master of coin. In silk-draped manors hostesses whispered that gold cloaks might shift allegiance now the mockingbird was plucked. Within the Tower of the Hand, Ned and Cat stood upon a balcony overlooking moon-washed rooftops. Orange lanterns pricked the gloom like scattered embers. You were magnificent, Ned murmured, palms warm on her shoulders. It is but the first strike, she answered. Cersei will coil tighter, Tywin will roar. Let them, Ned said, though shadows rimmed his eyes. So long as truth rides with us, we will meet them. She leaned against him, feeling the steady drum of his heart. Somewhere beyond the city walls, the King's Road stretched north, toward children awaiting parents who might not return. Yet tonight hope felt tangible as the breeze whispering from the bay. Tomorrow, she said softly, we begin binding allies before the lion's bare claws. Tomorrow, Ned agreed. Below, torches flickered like stars fallen to earth, and the Red Keep brooded, a giant roused, uncertain whether to cheer or crush those who dared disturb its sleep. But for one night at least, the scales of fate tipped toward wolf and trout, and the mockingbird's song was stilled. End of Part I. Approx. 5,200 words. K. Moonlight melted into pale dawn as a hush settled over King's Landing, as though the entire city held its breath in anticipation of the first true day, without Petter Baelish's whispers sliding among its eaves. Yet beneath that fragile calm the currents of power churned as violently as the Blackwater in storm, and every alley, stable, and marble hall carried an echo of yesterday's spectacle. Somewhere, a sellsword swore he had seen a mockingbird weathervane torn from a rooftop. Somewhere else, A maid claimed the ghost of Jon Arryn had sighed with satisfaction. At the moment Littlefinger's dagger was revealed. Legends root fast in desperate soil, Catelyn thought as sunrise bled pink across her window in the Tower of the Hand. Legends and retaliation. She had slept only in brief snatches, dreams filled with fluttering parchment and drawn blades. Ned already stood at the map table, candle stumps guttering around him like a ring of tiny pyres. The painted lines of the 7 kingdoms gleamed beneath his hands, as though begging for guidance. She reached him silently, sliding arms about his waist to anchor him to the present. Morning crept quickly, she murmured. It feels more like the same night refusing to end. He set down the quill, the scratch of ink halting mid-stroke. Ravens arrived at first light, 3. One from Stannis, one from River Run, and one bearing the Lannister seal. His mouth flattened at the last. What does Lord Tywin say? That he regrets Lord Baelish's unfortunate humiliation and trusts the matter will be handled with the discretion becoming the office of hand. Ned's voice cooled as northern wind. He invites me to send assurances that no charge will proceed without evidence shared in full with Casterly Rock. So he vaults to Littlefinger's defense. She felt her pulse quicken. Why? Petyr served himself first. A convenient martyr, perhaps, Ned said. Or a lever to pry us from our footing. He plucked the River Run letter. Father writes that Sir Edmure readies 200 river knights to ride south if called. A flicker of warmth in his eyes at her father's solidarity. Then they cooled again. But it is Stannis who intrigues me. He writes only 4 lines. Truth festers. Light it. I will sail soon. Cryptic, she said, yet promising. Stannis dislikes subterfuge but despises falsehood more. Ned turned to her fully. Word of yesterday's council is already twisting. Some claim Littlefinger merely boasted of the blade to impress you. Others that the sellsword was bought by Varys to frame him. Nender, he will spin nets even behind iron, she replied. We must tighten ours before his song changes pitch. She studied the lines of fatigue etched around Ned's eyes. But first, eat something. Wolves do not hunt empty-bellied. They broke fast on honeyed oats and smoked fish while Maester Renfred, a young man loaned from the Citadel until Pycelle's loyalties could be gauged, tie-dyed parchments. Once, Pycelle had been Jon Arryn's trusted voice of learning. But age had bent him toward whichever purse leaned hardest. Renfred's clear eyes and trimmed beard reminded Catelyn of Luwin, though youth lent him untested edges. Lady Stark, he said, laying a scroll before her. From Winterfell. Sent by swift bird 2 days past. He bowed out. Catelyn's fingers trembled as she cracked the seal. Robb's handwriting leapt proud and angular across the page. Bran awake, asking for stories. Rickon missing mother's songs. Theon boasting that the direwolves grow large as ponies. Her eyes misted. Yet a postscript written in a smaller, uneven line, the hand of Maester Luwin, brought her back to steel. Lord Robb counsels caution. Ravens whisper of unrest on the King's Road and Lannister riders glimpsed near the neck. She folded the parchment. They test our borders already. Let them test. The neck is long and treacherous. Ned touched her wrist. We will guard both ends. A knock sounded. Renly Baratheon appeared, green cloak flaring. Lord Hand, my lady. May I enter? Catelyn smoothed her composure. Lord Renly, of course. He strode in with the easy grace of a court darling, yet beneath the mirth a keen intelligence glittered. I come bearing 2 gifts, or perhaps they are burdens, depending on your mood. He produced a sheaf of warrants. The small council voted at dawn. Baelish is stripped of coin authority. Those ledgers fall to me until a replacement is named. Ned glanced over the pages. You did not covet the post, I imagine. Renly shrugged. Coin bores me. But it places me near every purse string in King's Landing, including those feeding the lion's maw. I thought you might find that useful. He handed Catelyn a sealed box of ebony and jade. Second gift. A token from Queen Margaery of Highgarden. Well, from her grandmother in truth. The Tyrells watched yesterday's theater with interest. Catelyn unlatched the lid. Inside lay a brooch of silver shaped like a growing rose. Petals tipped in tiny emeralds. A note in an elegant, forceful quill hand. Flowers bloom where weeds are pulled. Should northern frost or river floods require fresh seed, you may count upon Highgarden. Olenna. A subtle pledge, Ned said. Subtle as a mummer's wink, perhaps, Renly chuckled. My grandmother seldom whispers when she can shout with style. Ned considered. If the Tyrells align with us, the Lannisters cannot rely on their harvest gold. Yet they may seek alliances of their own. Renly sobered. Which leads me to my burden. Cersei's twins will feast tonight with a dozen Western lords. Rumor says the queen means to wed Myrcella to... Catelyn's stomach tightened. Frey loyalty is tenuous. They will cradle any hand that strokes them richest. And no. And Blackwood's resent Riverrun's oversight, Ned added. Then we must answer fast, Renly said. Supply a stronger match for Myrcella, or remove her from Cersei's board. His words hung daringly. Ned's gaze narrowed. Kidnapping the princess would ignite war. War may arrive regardless, Renly answered softly. I will not advise either path, only share the pieces in play. He bowed. I ride to the armory. The city's gates grow restless. If you need coin or a sword, ask. When he departed, Catelyn exhaled. The board widens. Too fast, Ned agreed. Yet, we cannot freeze. He tapped the map. Ding. House Blackwood holds Raventree Hall. If Tywin courts them, we send ravens of our own. Remind them how Lannister crossbows once skewered their kin on the trident. And Frey's? Catelyn asked, voice tight. Father's accord requires Hoster's health, but Walder sees opportunity in every storm. We might offer a betrothal. Ned mused. Arya is too wild for the twins. Sansa. A chill prickled Catelyn's spine. Not. Sansa. Perhaps a ward exchange then, Ned amended. Bran or Rickon, in a year's time, once matters settle. She nodded, though unease lingered. First secure the present, she said. Littlefinger's trial must proceed before Tywin undermines it. Ned rolled his shoulders. Grand Maester Pycelle drags his feet appointing judges. Perhaps we circumvent. A royal proclamation. A sudden commotion burst from the corridor. Steel rang, men shouting. Ned drew ice from its stand, the great sword's pale edge gleaming. The door slammed open as Barristan Selmy entered. Armor bright as new snow, white cloak billowing. My lord, my lady, remain within. His voice cut calm through the chaos. A riot at Flea Bottom. Gold cloaks hold the line, but disturbances creep up Hill Street. Unrest fed by rumors that the hand plots against the king's coin. Catelyn frowned. So quickly? Coin bought tongues in the taverns last night. Barristan said grimly. Someone spreads that Littlefinger was framed to hide Stark treachery. Ned's jaw hardened. Paid urchins and drunkards. Yet a mob needs little to ignite, Barristan replied. I suggest a public address. Clear. Then we will grant one, Ned said. Call the heralds to the steps of Baelor's Sept by midday. Barristan saluted. I shall marshal the king's guard. He hesitated. There is another matter. The sellsword witness, Callus the Cord, was found dead an hour past. Throat slit in his cell. No guard saw entrance or exit. Catelyn's stomach lurched. Baelish's friends still move? She breathed. Or Varys' enemies, Ned murmured, but doubt clouded his tone. Barristan inclined his head and withdrew, leaving silent dread behind. Ned clenched fists around ice pommel. We have proof still. The dagger, the letter. Yet they severed the tongue that spoke loudest. Mendschwan. Catelyn took his forearm. Then we must speak louder. The steps of Baelor's Sept rolled wide as paddocks, stone worn smooth by generations of pilgrims. Statues of the Seven loomed solemn overhead, candles guttering at their feet. A throng filled the square, small folk in rough spun, merchants in faded silk, whispering like wind through dry reeds. On the platform, Ned stood flanked by Barristan and Renly, his cloak stirring in warm noon breeze. Catelyn waited 2 steps behind, hidden enough to study faces. She spotted Lannister crimson sprinkled among the crowd, watchers gauging. A herald hammered his staff. "Hearken to Lord Eddard Stark, Hand of the King." Ned's voice carried rich as oaken bells. "Good people of King's Landing, yesterday, we unmasked a traitor who plotted death within these walls. That traitor is Petyr Baelish, once trusted, now fallen. He will answer before king and gods." Murmurs rippled, some approving, some doubtful. "Know this," Ned continued. "No house is above the law, nor any coin beneath its reach. Should silver purchase daggers, steel will answer." He raised the Valyrian blade for all to see, its ripples flashing like frozen thunder. "This knife came for a northern child, paid in treachery. Its owner stands accused. The proof will be laid bare, so justice may be done." A woman shouted, "What of the Lannisters?" Another cried, "Who frames our master of coin?" Voices clashed, suspicions swirling. Renly stepped forward, smile disarming. "The Queen's brothers remain friends to the realm. Yet friends must stand tall in daylight, yes? Sir Jaime serves the King's guard. He protects you as he would his own blood. Lord Tyrion Lannister roams now in the Vale, guest of Lady Lysa Arryn. Meantime, the council stewards the coffers. Trust will mend." He spread arms as though inviting a feast. The crowd calmed somewhat, lulled by Renly's grace. But from a cluster near the front, a hooded figure tossed a pouch high, coins scattered ringing on stone. "Who lines your purse, lordling?" A harsh voice jeered. "Will a wolf pay our taxes?" Steel scraped as gold cloaks shoved through. The hood fell, revealing a gaunt man branded for thievery, lower lip split. He spit toward Ned. "False charges. Free Baelish and the copper flows again." Catelyn felt the tremor, agitation blooming like wildfire oil. She stepped to Ned's side against his earlier plan. "People of the city, she said, voice carving through the swell. "You speak of coin as though it were bones for dogs to fight over. My husband and I do not come to steal your bread. We come to shield your children. The dagger meant for my son could one day seek yours. If justice bleeds today, tomorrow, it protects." She met eyes in the crowd, mothers clutching babes, smiths gripping hammers. "I ask patience while truth is weighed. I promise the weight shall be shared in open court for all to see." Her words hung, earnest, unadorned. The mob's edge dulled. Men lowered stones they had yet to hurl. Gold cloaks relaxed. When Ned placed his hand over hers, cheers erupted from several corners. Small, but brave. Yet she saw, beyond the cheers, Cersei Lannister perched in a balcony, velvet gown gleaming red as fresh blood. Joffrey beside her smirking. The Queen's emerald gaze took in every shift of mood, every clenched fist. Her smile was ice. War of words, Catelyn realized, would not suffice. The Queen prepared heavier ordnance. That afternoon, ravens flew northwest from the Red Keep, their messages sealed with the lion's roar. By dusk a rider reached the Gold Road with scrolls bound for Casterly Rock. But unseen above, a hawk stooped. An arrow hissed. The rider toppled. Scrolls stolen by bandits who vanished into dusk. Those bandits met Varys at moonrise, and their payment jingled quietly away. The game changed with every heartbeat. In the Ravenry, Maester Renfred sorted feather and wax. A black bird bearing the sigil of House Hightower arrived, Oldtown's reach extended. Its message confirmed that Pycelle had once ordered sweet milk to Baelish's sickbed a year past, though no illness had been recorded. Subtle poison? Or bargaining? Ned added the note to a swelling ledger, titled Threads. Each thread a path to follow, yet follow too many, and one trips. Catelyn spent the evening with Sansa and Arya in a small solar. Arya sprawled on cushions, Boots the cat purring on her lap, wooden practice sword across knees. Sansa sat rigid as a lady should, yet her eyes brimmed worry. "Is Lord Baelish truly evil?" Sansa asked softly. "Evil is a strong word," Catelyn said, brushing a strand of auburn hair from Sansa's cheek. "But he has done harm, and we must answer." "He gave me a necklace once," Sansa whispered. "Said it matched my eyes." Arya snorted. "He'd say a sewer rat looked royal if it gained him a coin." Catelyn hid a smile. "Remember, kindness unearned can hide motives. Trust must be built like a castle, stone by stone." Arya poked Boots' belly. "Speaking of castles, I overheard the Master-at-Arms. The Lannister guards are drilling twice each day now, sharpening swords like they expect ghosts." "Mentor." Catelyn's pulse skipped. "Keep such ears open, little wolf, but stay clear of their blades." Arya grinned. "I can outrun them." She hopped up, twirled her wooden sword, bowing dramatically. Sansa half smiled. "Try not to poke any knights. I poke only those who deserve it." Arya winked. Catelyn kissed their foreheads. "Both of you rest. Tomorrow may bring long lessons." Yet she doubted sleep would find them, or her. The city hummed with anxious insects, each rumor a sting. Near midnight, Ned met with Varys in a torchlit passage seldom trod. The eunuch smelled faintly of lavender and ink. A rider from Casterly Rock was waylaid. Varys murmured innocently, "Cut purses sad." Ned eyed him. "Your birds? Ah, Lord Stark, you wound me. I am but a keeper of songs." Still, the letter within mentions a summons to the Iron Throne. Cersei wants Tywin in the capital. Ned's breath shallow. She prepares for show of force. If force fails, perhaps marriage will suffice. Another letter, not yet sent. Overtures to House Redwine. Ships and grain for golden banners. Varys sighed, almost theatrically sad. The Queen weaves nets even as we speak. "Thank you," Ned said, though distrust remained like a thorn. "Keep watching." Varys bowed, slippered feet whispering away. Alone, Ned pressed fingers to his temples. The king. Would Robert help steady the board, or tip it? The Fat King spent more nights in brothels than council chambers of late, and rumors of a hunting trip beyond the Kingswood reached Ned's ears. If Robert was absent when Tywin arrived, he returned to the chamber where Catelyn awaited, armor half-stripped, hair loose. They stood before the hearth. "We need allies beyond letters," she said softly. "Then we forged them." He traced the map. "Tomorrow I ride to meet with Lord Commander Mormont. Request additional Night's Watch recruits be drawn from northern levies. Show the realm we still guard the wall. It reminds southern lords of our duty, and duty garners respect." "And I?" she asked. "River Run." He lifted her chin. "Your voice will steady our father's bannermen. Show them their Tully blood stands firm." Pain flickered in her chest, parting again. Yet purpose outweighed ache. She nodded. "I shall leave at dawn with Sir Roderick and 10 men. Take 20, he amended. "And the dagger." They held each other in the fire glow. Silent vows passing unspoken. Across the city a bell tolled, marking the hour of ghosts. Catelyn felt its vibrations still when dawn's first bird call roused her. On the river road beyond the Gate of the Gods, Catelyn's party wound past dew-damp fields. Sir Roderick rode at her side, whiskers twitching at every hedge. Behind, 20 mailed men bore gray cloaks stitched with direwolves. Their horses snorted mist. City air soon yielded to country freshness, yet tension clung like burrs. They crossed a stone bridge when hoofbeats thundered behind. A column of crimson and gold livery appeared, Lannister outridders, perhaps 30. Led by Sir Adam Marbrand, banners snapping. Catelyn signaled halt, hand gripping rein tight. Lady Stark. Sir Adam inclined head, auburn hair escaping helm. Your journey is swift. I pray the roads treat you kindly. The same to you, sir, she answered evenly. My orders require I inquire of your cargo. His gaze flicked to the satchels. Bandits thrive these days. Best we know which wagons hold valuables. Roderick bristled. Lady Stark's possessions are no concern of House Lannister. Adam smiled thinly. All is concern in troubled times. Catelyn drew calm from Winterfell's snow. If bandits hinder travelers, perhaps the King's Guard should patrol more diligent. Adam's eyes narrowed at the barb, but he bowed. As you wish. We shall ride a pace behind, as escort against those bandits. He signaled his men. They fell in comfortably close. Roderick muttered, escort or jailer. Whichever finds advantage. She whispered back. They rode thus for hours, tension a taut bowstring. At midday, a crossroads inn came into view, the Dancing Stag. Smoke drifted welcoming from its chimney. Catelyn feigned weariness. We rest here. Inside, travelers sang soft, unaware of edges beneath smiles. Catelyn secured a private room. Roderick posted guards. Yet minutes later, a knock. Adam Marbrand entered carrying 2 cups. A peace offering, he said, placing one on the table. Arbor read. No venom, I swear. He sipped from the other to prove it. Catelyn regarded him. What do you want, sir? To understand. He removed helm, revealing a thoughtful brow. I served under your brother at the Trident. I hold riverlords in esteem. Yet rumors swirl now, wolves circling the throne. Daggers of blame. Tell me, did Pedder truly pay for that cutthroat? She weighed truth. Evidence points so. And if evidence later points elsewhere? He pressed. Then justice will follow it, she said. Will House Lannister say the same? Adam's mouth tightened. My lord commands my sword, and he bends knee to the king. If the queen commands in his stead, what choice remains? There is always choice, she replied softly. Even in armor. He stared long, then donned helm. Perhaps. Ride safe, Lady Stark. He left without further hindrance. And at dusk the Lannister column veered west toward Duskendale. Catelyn exhaled. A test, she told Roderick. One of many. Meanwhile, in the Red Keep, Cersei paced her solar. The Mirish carpet muffled her steps. Golden hair coiled like a crown. Jaime lounged in a carved chair, armor half-polished. Father rides, Cersei said, voice taut. Yet the north tosses stones and the reach sniffs opportunity. Tyrell's courting that trout-spawned she-wolf. Her hand struck a goblet, red wine splashing across silk. Jaime arched a brow. Olenna Tyrell courts everyone. She likes collecting debts. Cersei spun. We cannot wait for father's knights. We must shatter their case now. My sweet sister, you shatter things finely. But evidence? Jaime toyed with a lion-headed dagger. Callus is dead, yet the blade remains. Pycelle murmurs that steel may be stolen from the vault, melted down, lost at sea. Easy enough. Neddy. Stark still has Lysa's letter, she hissed. And Varys watches every vault. She paced again, nails digging palms. No. We strike at their heart, Eddard's honor. Prove he lies, or tempt him to folly. Jaime's eyes glittered. An accident, perhaps? A hunt. The hand's saddle strap phrase. Cersei halted. Robert rides to the Kingswood tomorrow. If Stark accompanies. Jaime stood, tall and burnished. I can arrange a boar with temper. She met his gaze. See it done. Ned Stark falls, the wolf dies. Without its head the pack scatters. She smiled, cold. And should the queen's grief appear sincere, who could blame her? Jaime bowed. As you wish. Night cloaked the keep when Ned received Robert's invitation. Scrawled in ale-blurred script. Hunt, dawn. Need grim fellow to frown at me when I drink. Ned sighed. He loathed hunts, yet refusing risked offense. He shared the note with Catelyn's younger brother's squire, Jory Castle. "Ready the horses," he instructed. "We ride early." Jory nodded, leaving him alone with silence thick as snow. He gazed at ice on its rack, then at the map. Battles of words, of blades, of shadows. Which battlefield killed the quickest? He strode into hallways dim. In the small kitchen, he found Arya pilfering sweet cakes. She froze, crumbs at her lip. "Father." He knelt. Trouble sleeping? Dreams of wolves howling. Her eyes solemn. "And lions?" "Wolves fear no lion when the pack stands." He kissed her brow. "Return to bed. I ride at dawn, but I'll be back before you finish lessons." She hugged him fierce, then scampered away. He watched her vanish. Heart tugged. When he returned to his chamber, Catelyn was absent, already far along the river road. Loneliness pressed like plate mail. He whispered a prayer to the old gods, then one to the seven for good measure. Sleep stole him only when gray pre-dawn seeped through shutters. Across the field south of the Kingswood, Robert's party assembled. Hounds baying, horns braying, banners aflutter. Robert, belly straining gilded leather, swung onto a charger with surprising ease, laugh booming. Ned joined, cloak of muted gray stark amid bright nobles. "Stark," Robert greeted. Ale breath pungent. "Today, we find a boar big as a house. Then we roast the bastard whole." Ned forced a smile. "Let us hope its tusks are smaller than houses." Sir Lancel Lannister passed wine to the king. Jaime, in gold-inlaid breastplate, adjusted the girth on Robert's saddle, his fingers lingering near the buckle. Ned's eyes narrowed. Nothing amiss on quick glance, yet instinct pricked. The hunt thundered into the green gloom of the wood, leaves whispering overhead. Sunshafts speared through, dappling moss and root. Hounds surged ahead. Hours passed in tense pursuit, Robert's laughter fading beneath bird calls, hooves squelching damp earth. Ned rode near Jaime, who hummed some Westerman tune. "Tell me, Kingslayer," Ned said quietly, "have you ever considered the cost of honor?" Jaime tilted his head. "Daily. I keep a list. Yours tops it, most expensive thing in the realm." He smirked. Sudden hound barks erupted ahead. Shrill, frantic. A boar burst from brush, massive, bristled. Robert spurred forward, spear lowered. Ned followed, jaw set. The boar wheeled, tusks slashing. Robert's spear struck hide but glanced. The beast roared, gored a hound. Robert's horse reared and staggered. Saddle girth snapped. The king toppled, crashing amid roots. Boar charged. Ned leapt from saddle, drawing ice though its weight hindered quick parry. Jaime circled, reins in hand, but blade unsheathed. Ned rushed between beast and king, swinging the greatsword in a sweeping arc. Steel bit shoulder, slowed the boar. Yet tusks lunged, catching Ned's thigh. Pain flared white. Jaime spurred in, golden sword flashing, stabbing the boar's eye. It screamed, collapsed, thrashing. Ned dragged Robert away, blood soaking doublet. The king groaned, belly slashed. Huntsmen converged, ending the beast. Lancel shrieked for maesters. Robert wheezed. "Bit bigger than I thought." He laughed weakly, coughed blood. Ned pressed cloth to wound. "Hold, your grace." Jaime dismounted, gloved hands slick with boar gore. He knelt, voice low near Ned's ear. "That buckle shouldn't have failed." Ned met his gaze. "No." Their eyes locked, an uneasy truce forged in gore. By nightfall they reached the Red Keep, Robert on litter, pale. Pycelle fussed with leeches and poultices. Cersei arrived, silk like poured wine, face carved from marble at sight of husband's ruin. She knelt, tears glittering. Yet in her eyes Ned glimpsed something colder than grief. Calculation. Pycelle declared the wound grave, but not mortal if infection stayed away. Robert slept under milk of the poppy. In council chambers, torches hissed. Varys, Renly, Barristan, and Jaime convened. Ned stood, thigh bandaged. We must assume foul play, Ned said. Saddle strap cut. Renly eyed Jaime. Your task? Jaime bristled. I saw nothing until it failed. Varys murmured. Someone wished the king harmed. Perhaps to frame House Lannister, perhaps another intent altogether. Then dance. Ned thought of Cersei's earlier smile. Yet proof. He sighed. Guard every gate. Question every stable hand. Renly tapped fingers. If Robert lingers between life and death, governance falls on the hand. Ned met their gazes. Then I will govern, with council's aid. Jaime sneered. While my sister rots in worry. He strode out before reply. When meeting adjourned, Varys lingered. The dance quickens. Shall we hope the music favors your steps? Ned rubbed eyes. I am no dancer. Yet you must twirl, my lord. The eunuch vanished like breath. Days passed. Robert's fever ebbed, then surged anew. Pycelle moaned of corrupted blood. Renfred applied northern poultices of pine sap and moss, stalling the rot. Catelyn's ravens brought news. Riverrun rallied, Frey silent. She pressed northward, passing Moat Cailin. Lannister outriders shadowed but did not strike. In the city, rumors split like hydra heads. Lannisters blamed wolf treachery. Common folk whispered Cersei poisoned Robert. Some said the boar was a skin-changed beast sent by wild mages. Within that chaos, Littlefinger demanded audience from his cell, offering secrets for freedom. Ned refused. One dusk, Sansa knelt in sept, praying for Robert and for courtly peace. Joffrey visited, spoke honey words, pressed a hand to hers. Guards watched. Later, Arya found Sansa weeping. He threatened me, Sansa sobbed. Said if father keeps accusing, wolves will be chained in dungeons. Arya's eyes darkened. He threatens our pack, she told Ned. Fury kindled, but Robert's health came first. On the 10th day, Robert woke lucid, summoned Ned. The king, gaunt but fierce-eyed, waved servants away. Boar nearly finished what rebels couldn't, Robert joked hoarsely. But I'm stubborn. He gripped Ned's hand. Old friend, dark games swirl. Who cuts my saddle? Ned hesitated. We lack proof. Robert snorted. Proof be damned. Smell the trail. His gaze burned. Lilies or lions? Ned thought of Cersei, of Tywin's summons, of Lannister gold. Yet lilies, Renly, Highgarden, new ambitions. He exhaled. Sire, caution. Recovery first, justice second. Robert laughed, then winced. You'd scold me on my deathbed, Stark. He grew serious. If I fall, you rule. Not Cersei, not Renly, promise. I will serve, Ned said. Robert closed eyes. Then fetch the book, my will. Ned left to retrieve the Great Seal. In corridor he met Cersei, flanked by twin guards. My husband. Resting, Ned said. He requests the royal seal. Cersei's lips curved. Making you Lord Protector? Ned held her gaze. He did not specify, but crown or helm, I wear duty. Beware sharp edges. She brushed past, perfume and threat trailing. That night, Ned wrote letters to Winterfell commanding troops stand ready, but not march. He sent a sealed message to Stannis advising haste, and one to River Run cautioning fray dealings. He slept little. Before dawn, a hooded figure slipped into Littlefinger's cell. Chains clinked, a hush of steel. By sunrise, guards found Petyr Baelish hanging from bedsheet like a mockingbird with broken wings. A single wound, small, precise, beneath rib. A note pinned to tunic. Some debts require silence. Ned stood over corpse. Heart heavy. Truth lost another voice. Varys appeared, examining scene. Convenient, too convenient, he whispered. Enemy dead, yet secrets unspilled. Was it mercy, murder, or both? Ned shook head. We may never know. Within the hour, Cersei convened council. The traitor chose escape through Coward's door. Let the matter close. She sought to bury evidence. But Ned stepped forward, placing dagger and letters on table. Matters remain open until King recovers. Cersei's smile thinned. Pray he does, Lord Stark. For all our sakes. Far to the north, at Moat Catelyn. Catelyn received a raven. King injured, Baelish dead. Lannister plots thicken. She stared at marsh stretching endless, moss glowing sickly in dusk. Turn south, she commanded. River Run must wait. King's Landing bleeds. Roderick protested. We're halfway. Halfway is nowhere, she said. My husband stands alone among vipers. We go back. And under ghost-white moonlight, her column wheeled, galloping into mist that swallowed their tracks. In King's Landing, thunderclouds massed as though summoned by gathering fates. The first bolt lanced the city the night Catelyn rode through the gates again, cloak soaked, dagger strapped beneath jerkin. She headed straight for the Tower of the Hand. Atop the steps, Ned awaited, rain-streaking hair. When their eyes met, relief surged. They embraced, storm roaring around them. You ride in storm, he whispered. I ride where you bleed, she answered. Together they turned toward the throne looming beyond corridor's end. The game board trembled, pieces shifted unseen. Yet for an instant, through flicker of lightning, two figures stood unbroken against a realm of scheming lions and rising roses, of phantom mockingbirds and shadows on crowns. And though the night howled with omen, the pack stood as one. End of Part 2. Approx. 5,300 words. A.K. Rain lingered in pearled beads on the balustrades when dawn seeped over the capital, turning puddles into shallow mirrors that reflected a sky the color of forged steel. Catelyn Stark stood barefoot upon the balcony outside Ned's solar, the chill stone biting her soles as if reminding her that Winterfell's godswood lay leagues away. Beneath, the city stirred from the night storm. Chimney smoke twisted skyward. Merchants bellowed price lists, dampened by damp air. And somewhere a bell rang a mournful note too early for services. She gathered her cloak around her shoulders, feeling every knot of worry like a bruise. Inside, Ned finished lacing his doublet, stiff movements betraying the wound in his thigh. Maester Renfred had changed the bandage twice in the small hours, mixing willowbark powder with northern herbs that smelled of pine. The reek clung in the room, but Ned refused further rest. Duty, he said. Duty before comfort. Even so, when he turned to her now, lines of pain etched beneath his eyes like faint quill strokes on parchment. Robert drifts in and out, he murmured. Pycelle claims a day or two will tell. Either the cut festers, or it does not. He rubbed thumb to forefinger unconsciously, a gesture he made when weighing risk against action. Cersei is pressing to hold court in the king's stead this afternoon. Catelyn stepped across the threshold, closing the shutters against a gust of damp wind. If she presides, she'll declare the realm stable, blame the saddle strap on careless stable hands, then sweep Littlefinger's trial to the cobbler's dust along with every other Lannister misdeed. Ned's jaw tightened. I'll not attend her pageant. Robert named me protector until his full recovery. Then show the city a protector who protects. She folded arms, measuring him. Speak from the steps of the Red Keep again, but with steel escort. Renly will lend Tyrell spearmen if you ask. And the dagger must be displayed where no one can claim it vanished like its erstwhile owner. Ned looked across the table, where the Valyrian blade rested in a velvet-lined box. Once called Baelish's, now orphaned. He shut the lid gently. We still lack witness. We have motive, Catelyn answered. And pattern. Wall. Poison in John Arryn's vines, a push meant for Bran, a cutthroat's blade. How many acts make a play? And the one. Ned sighed. The law demands more than tapestry threads. Then weave tighter, she said, meeting his eyes until the corner of his mouth lifted, a pale ghost of a smile. What of Stannis? He sails from Dragonstone, Ned said. I expect him within a week. He insists truth will drive him like a storm. A beat of hesitation. And he sent a second message during the storm, He claims Robert's children are. He lowered his voice. Not Robert's. The seed is strong, he wrote. A cryptic echo of something Jon Arryn said to him before dying. Now. Catelyn's brows knitted. Does he have proof? Not yet. Ned rubbed the bridge of his nose. Jon Arryn studied a lineage book, Orys Baratheon down to last century's cousins. Hair color, eyes, birth records. Stannis believes the boy's golden head condemns him, but suspicion alone topples nothing. So gather the book, she said. And Jon Arryn, squire. Young Robert Arryn's sworn man. What was his name? Samuel Stone. No, that isn't right. Joan's squire was named Hugh, Ned said. He died in the tourney. Lance through the throat. His gaze darkened. Another thread. Catelyn walked to the hearth, resting a hand on warm stone. Find others who aided Jon Arryn's study. Septa, healer, anyone. I will help. Your presence alone steadies me, he said softly. Then his tone shifted as steel slots into scabbard. But today I need you inside the Red Keep. Mind sharp, ears sharper. If Cersei tries to seize the small council seat, I want her words caught before they slither away. She nodded. I'll trail her shadow like frost. A hurried rap on the door broke the space between them. Jory Castle entered, cloak dripping. Lord Stark. Sir Loras Tyrell requests audience. He waits in the garden of Freshwater. The young knight of flowers, clad not in tourney silks but travel leathers, looked surprisingly somber amid rain-bruised roses when they joined him minutes later. Dew beaded on his gold-brown curls. Lord Hand, Lady Stark. Loras bowed. I come on behalf of my lord brother and our grandmother. Catelyn inclined her head. The Tyrell's rose blooms bright despite storms. Loras offered a parchment bearing the hand and sigil of Mace Tyrell. Ned broke the seal. The letter pledged 300 mounted Reach Lancers, presently near Bitterbridge, should the peace of the realm require pruning of thorns. Signed also by Lady Olenna with the terse line, let us not savor rot. Ned refolded the parchment. Your loyalty honors us, he said. Highgarden remembers Robert's rebellion, Loras replied. Roses grew strong in the sun that followed, and our house does not forget what happens when mad kings and unscrupulous whispers share a pillow. His gaze flicked to the keep's red walls. But readiness is not rashness. My grandmother counsels patience while Robert heals. Nonetheless, we ask a boon in return. Ned's brow lifted. Name it. Loras's mouth tightened. Lord Renly seeks a bride. He favors Lady Sansa. Catelyn's pulse skipped. Sansa is betrothed to Prince Joffrey. Betrothal, not marriage. Loras countered. And betrothals may be dissolved by royal will. Should the king die, gods forbid, the realm will fracture. A marriage tying Stark, Tully and Tyrell could anchor factions. Then them shot. Ned considered grimly. Breaking the alliance to Joffrey invites open conflict with Cersei. Conflict seems inevitable, Loras said. Better to face it with gardens and snows united. He bowed again. Think on it. Then he strode away, rain splashing from his boots. Catelyn exhaled slowly. Sansa's happiness matters, yet so does her future safety. Joffrey's courtly mask slipped with Arya. Ned followed Lora's retreating figure. I will not barter my daughter like a piece on the Savas board, but the suggestion reveals how far the Reach foresees war. He slid the letter inside his doublet. For now, we watch and wait. They parted at the keep's forked corridor. Ned toward Robert's chambers, Catelyn toward the council suite. She walked flanked by 2 Winterfell guards, senses strung tight. The small council chamber buzzed with simmering tension once she entered. Renly lounged in a corner chair, flipping a dagger idly. Grand Maester Pycelle stood hunched at the hearth, muttering about restorative tonics. Varys glided before shelves, fingers cataloging scrolls. Then the door swung wide and Cersei swept in with Jaime at her side. She wore emerald velvet trimmed with sable, every inch of her polished as the crown she coveted. My lords, she announced, ignoring Catelyn entirely. His grace continues to mend, praise the mother, Until such time as he rises, I shall preside. Renly's dagger froze mid-spin. Robert named Lord Stark Protector. Cersei smiled. Protector of the realm, not regent. Different words, dear brother. She claimed the chair at table's head. Jaime leaned against a pillar like a lion lounging before prey. Pycelle coughed. Her Grace speaks to precedent. No precedent, Catelyn said firmly, taking a seat near Renly. Robert's signature and seal name met his voice. That stands. Cersei's gaze drifted across Catelyn's cloak. Still damp. Ah. The northern wolf returned so quickly. One might almost imagine guilt tugging her south again. Catelyn met emerald eyes. I ride for my family. Guilt rides for those who scheme. Jaime's lip curled, but Cersei raised a manicured hand. Enough. She unfolded a parchment, reading aloud. By order of Queen Regent Cersei Lannister, 20 wagons of grain will be seized from Crownland storehouses to feed the city guard garrison and Lannister troops, who arrive to bolster security. Renly rose. You starve small folk to fatten your host. Cersei's voice iced. I starve no one. Wagons will be replenished from the Reach once arrangement is complete. Catelyn leaned forward. Requisition requires council consent. Cersei tapped parchment. I have Pycelle's. The Grand Maester bowed, chain links clinking. For the safety of King's Landing, yes. Varys fluttered silk sleeves. And I, ever humble. See merit in prepared gates. Renly sheathed the dagger with audible click. Then 2 votes for, 2 against, he said, gesturing to himself and Catelyn. Without the hand, no motion passes. Cersei folded the decree, lip curling. We'll convene again with the hand present. She rose. But make no mistake, food will fill bellies, one way or another. As she swept out, Jaime lingered, eyes brushing Catelyn's. You ride roads thick with outlaws, my lady. Should your company ever need escort, Lannister steel stands ready, for a price. He winked, then followed his sister. When the door shut, Renly exhaled. Father above. The air stinks of lion. He glanced at Catelyn. I admire your claws. She forced a smile. One must defend the den. Varys approached, head canted. Beware, my lady. A cornered lioness strikes without warning. Now. Then we shall strike first if pressed, she answered. Varys' expression remained unreadable as dawn mist. Ned entered Robert's chamber to find the king awake, propped by pillows, beard slicked with sweat. A tray of uneaten meat rested on a stool. Robert's eyes lit on Ned with ragged relief. Gods take that boar, he growled. I'll mount its head above the throne when I'm done. You'll see. He coughed, wincing at the bandage. Ned set aside the tray. The small council rancors. Cersei styles herself regent. Then tea. Robert bit an apple wedge, chewing with sudden fury. I'll remind her whose throne it is soon enough. Meanwhile, you hold the line. Ned produced the rolled parchment of Robert's will. Stamp this again, for good measure. Robert grunted approval, pressing the sticky resin of the seal despite tremor in his hand. Stark, he said after, voice suddenly weary. You've always been straight with me. Tell me true. Are my children safe? Ned hesitated. Images flickered. Stannis' letter, blonde hair. They are guarded, he answered, choosing caution. Guarded is not safe. Robert squeezed his fingers. Watch them. Promise me. I promise. That evening, Catelyn stole into the keep's dusty library, towering shelves holding centuries of Septon sermons, trade ledgers, obscure treatises. Only 2 candle sconces flickered. She brought Rob's letters for comfort, but left them unopened. Instead, she hunted spines until she located the lineage and histories of the great houses of the 7 kingdoms. Dust puffed when she dragged it down. She flipped pages, scanning Baratheon entries, Orys, Harbert, Lionel, each born of black hair, blue eyes save a scattering of dark gray. She traced a finger to recent generation. Joffrey Baratheon, Entry written in fresh ink, describing golden hair, green eyes. Beneath, Tommen, same. Myrcella, same. An island of color amid a sea of midnight strands. The book trembled slightly in her grasp. Jon Arryn had seen. Stannis saw. Her pulse hammered. Proof. Perhaps not to a maester's court, but to men with swords it could ignite wildfire. She closed the volume carefully, hugging it to her chest. Trouble, sleeping Lady Stark. Varys's voice coiled from the darkness. She spun, heart leaping. The eunuch emerged between stacks, candle casting long shadows over his smooth face. Knowledge ruins sleep, she said, forcing calm. Varys' eyes darted to the tome. Family trees can be enlightening. Some branches grow fruit not of their seed. Fruit that poisons realms. She replied. His smile thinned. Truth is a blade without hilt. Seize it and bleed. He gestured. May I? She offered the book reluctantly. He turned pages with delicate fingertips until he reached the entry she'd read. He tapped the gold-inked names. A cunning gardener might graft roses onto thorns. But children? He shut the volume, gaze lifting. Take care this knowledge reaches only ears able to listen without screaming. Lions dislike unnatural fruit being paraded. Catelyn accepted the book back. Jon Arryn screamed and died. Indeed. Varys dipped his head. Choose your moment, my lady, or choose your silence. He vanished among stacks, leaving candlelight trembling in his wake. As dawn teased the horizon again, ravens burst from the rookery. Ned's hand penned letters through the night. To Stannis, to Sir Barristan at the wall of White Sword Tower. To Lord Commander of the City Watch, Janos Slynt. He requested loyalty oaths. Reaffirmed. Soldiers counted. Gates guarded. Catelyn sent word to Riverrun, urging her father's knights to approach Maidenpool quietly. But the river of fate lapped faster. 3 days later, horns blared at the Lion Gate. Lord Tywin Lannister rode in with a vanguard of 500 red cloaks, banners snapping beneath the sunrise. The city's mood, already taut, pulled near snapping. Common folk clustered rooftops, whispering of war. Ned watched from the rampart as Tywin's column tramped toward the Red Keep. The Lord of Casterly Rock rode armored in crimson enamel, green eyes hard as gold ore. Behind him, Kevan and dozens of bannermen glinted. Ned felt the weight of their arrival like a mountain settling. Inside the throne room, Cersei greeted her father with a kiss on cheek that never warmed. Tywin's gaze swept the hall and settled on Ned. Lord Stark, he said, voice resonant braced with 20 years of command. I arrived to stand beside his grace in these troubled hours. I assume hospitality remains? Hospitality stands for any who come in peace, Ned answered. Tywin's lips moved in something almost a smile. Peace depends on swift justice against false accusers. Catelyn stepped beside Ned. Justice already caught one plotter, my lord. If more plots exist, daylight will find them. Tywin assessed her a moment. The wolf matriarch returns. Mothers guard their pups fiercely. Fiercer than lions guard stolen cubs. She replied before thinking. Tywin's brow arched, but he let the barb hang. Court convened at noon beneath the Iron Throne's shadow. Robert, still too weak, sent Pycelle in his stead. Cersei flanked her father. Renly, Varys, and Barristan formed the other arc. Ned advanced, holding Jon Arryn's lineage book. I submit new evidence, he declared. Text Jon Arryn studied before his death. It raises grave doubts as to the true paternity of Prince Joffrey, Princess Myrcella, and Prince Tommen. Gasps stirred. Cersei's smile froze. Tywin's gloved hand twitched. Renly's voice sliced silence. Ain, Tights. Ned opened pages, reading aloud entries of Baratheon black hair, then pointed to the golden exceptions. Seed is strong, the late hand declared. These children bear none of Baratheon's mark. Cersei's face blanched, then flared crimson. You accuse me of adultery? Of treason? I present facts, Ned said. The realm deserves truth. Tywin advanced a step, cloak sweeping. No bastard historian overturns royal order, Show physical proof or withdraw. Ned met his glare. Then summon Master Armorer Tobho Mott and an apprentice named Gendry. Both bear Baratheon features, though born to low women. Stark hair, strong jaw. Compare them to the prince. Da. Cersei's voice shook with controlled fury. You bring gutter boys to besmirch royal children. Catelyn touched Ned's elbow. Careful, she whispered. He nodded, breath slow. Pycelle cleared throat. These claims, unprecedented, yet not impossible, Renly said quietly, eyes on Cersei. We might examine the children. Examine? Ymmy spat. Pry at them like beasts. Barristan stepped forward, white cloak sweeping. For the realm's sake, peaceful confirmation shall soothe uncertainty. Tywin's voice dropped to iron. I'll not allow my grandchildren paraded before gossip mongers. Ned spoke evenly. Then a council of septons and maesters may attend private chamber. Enough. Cersei's roar cracked across the hall. She turned, storming toward exit. Jaime followed, hand drifting near sword. Tywin stared at Ned with promise of cold reckoning, then pivoted, crimson cloak unfurling like a banner of war. The throne room emptied into uneasy murmurs. Renly approached, green eyes wide. You have lit a torch in a powder vault. Truth demanded, Ned answered, though his pulse pounded. If Robert lives, he must know. If he dies, Renly asked. Catelyn inhaled. Then the torch becomes wildfire. That night, storm clouds rolled again. Torchlight danced upon the airship banners of dreams and the heads of every small folk. Soldier, courtier, dark-eye. Ned slept but an hour before sword metallic shriek jolted him. He sprang from bed, grabbing the dagger from bedside. Catelyn woke as the door burst and Jory limped in, armor dented, blood seeping from shoulder. Gold cloaks, he gasped. They swarm barracks. Janos slint-turned traitor. Took coin, Lannister coin. Ned hauled him inside, securing bolt. Where? Stables, armory. Wolves cornered. They'll strike at you next. Catelyn wrapped a cloth about Jory's wound while Ned buckled his sword belt. We need allies inside the keep, she said. Barristan, Renly, the Tyrell guards. Footsteps drummed outside. Lord Stark, open in the name of the king, a voice barked. City watch accent. Robert still sleeps, Ned muttered. Not their king. He tugged open a secret side passage built for Targaryen queens to visit lovers, long unused. Catelyn supported Jory. They descended winding stairs into musty cloister that smelt of mildew and memory. Through slitted stone windows, they saw flickers, torches, men in bronze cloaks, herding Stark guards into courtyard. At corridor's base, a halberd gleamed in sudden lamplight. Barristan Selmy awaited, flanked by two Kingsguard brothers, Sir Aerys Oakhart and Sir Preston Greenfield. My lord, Selmy greeted, eyes somber. The Watch swears new loyalty to Queen Regent. They claim Robert signed decree, naming her protector. Bensen. Forgery, Ned growled. Likely, Selmy agreed. Yet, they brand you traitor. Catelyn swallowed. Will the Kingsguard stand with us? I vowed to defend the king and his lawful commands, Selmy said. But until I hear Robert's voice again, I defend his chosen hand. Oakhart nodded. We escort you to the king. Down another passage they moved. Jory staggered but pressed on. At the royal apartments, Lannister guards stood at cross-axes. Jaime awaited, sword bare. You lead white cloaks astray, old man, he told Barristan. I uphold lawful charge, Selmy replied, raising helmet visor tartar. Jaime's smirk curved. Then come lawfully cross blades. Swords rang. Oakhart parried a thrust. Greenfield engaged a guard. Catelyn pressed against wall, pulling Jory behind column. Ned faced Jaime, ice whispering free. Their blades clashed. Smaller lion steel darting, greatsword sweeping arcs of silver. Jaime's grin widened. He feinted low, darted high. Ned blocked, thigh wound tugging but holding. Behind them, Catelyn glimpsed Pycelle creeping from chamber door, a scroll clutched. She grabbed his sleeve. "What decree do you carry?" He sputtered. "The Queen's." "No. The King's orders." She twisted parchment free, saw Robert's shaky signature but wax of lion, not stag. "Forged." She pocketed it, elbowed the old man away. Steel shrieked. Jaime knocked ice aside, tip nicking Ned's cheek. But Barristan's blade intercepted Jaime's next thrust. "Enough," the old knight barked. "This is madness." Jaime laughed. Madness and Kingslayers walk hand in hand. He disengaged, retreating. "The Queen summons Lord Stark to the throne, alive or otherwise. I prefer alive. Less mess to clean." He vanished with his men. Selmy exhaled. "We cannot hold halls long. The gold cloaks number near 2,000 haunt you." Ned wiped blood from cheek. "Get us to Robert." They entered bedchamber. The king lay breathing shallowly. Loras Tyrell knelt with Renly at bedside. Both had been keeping silent watch. Relief flashed when Ned entered. Renly rose. "Slint sold out. Our men clash across Bailey." Ned produced. "Forged decree. Cersei moves to seize power. Where is the royal seal?" Renly shook head. "Taken from the treasury this afternoon." Pycelle scuttled inside behind them. Seeing the false decree captured, he paled, then collapsed to knees. "I but followed royal command," he wheezed. "Stand," Catelyn said coldly. "Your oaths bind you to truth." Renly's eyes darted toward door. "We must leave," he whispered. "Take the king. Secure him in Maegor's holdfast. Tyrell men hold its gate." Ned touched Robert's forehead, clammy. Moving him could kill. Barristan looked at Catelyn. "Then move Robert second. Protect his heir first, or the realm fractures." All looked to Ned. Decision cut swift in his gaze. "Arya Sansa," he murmured. "Find them." "Already done," Loras said. "I secreted them in the maiden vault at dusk when gold cloaks massed." The Knight of Flowers drew a slim sword. "My men guard the door." "Good." Ned turned to Renly. "Take 20 men. Secure the children, Robert's and mine, and ride for Storm's End if gates fall. Raise banners for the rightful king, whichever Robert names." Renly nodded, clasping arms. "Storm's End stands." Pycelle croaked. "You divide the realm." No one listened. Catelyn stroked Robert's wrist. "Hay burns." Maester Renfred arrived with salve, ignoring Pycelle's protest. "I prepared milk of the poppy to ease pain, but someone replaced my vial with mere water," he said, glancing at Pycelle. Ned's fury flashed. Renfred applied herbs. Robert's breathing eased. Outside, clash of arms faded, then roared anew closer. Catelyn peered from window. Red-cloaked soldiers forced Stark guards back toward Tower of the Hand. Smoke rose from a wagon of fish barrels set ablaze. Chaos churned. She swallowed bile. Ned moved to Robert's bedside, taking the king's hand. "Old friend, the realm falls apart around us. Wake, damn you." Robert's lids fluttered. "Lyanna," he rasped. "It's Ned," he whispered. "Stay with me." But Robert slipped back beneath fever's waves. Barristan closed tapestry drapes. "We must decide, Lord Stark." Ned looked to Catelyn. In her eyes he saw mirrored his own resolve and dread. "We stay," she said. "Stand this ground. The Iron Throne sits beyond that door. So does honor." Oakheart and Greenfield locked spears. Selmy adjusted white cloak. "Then the Kingsguard stands with you." Catelyn took the Valyrian dagger from Ned's belt, passing it to Barristan. "Let the Seven witness this blade at trial," she said. "If we survive the night." Thunder rolled beyond battlements, as if realm itself growled in warning. Through corridors now quiet as tombs, footsteps approached. Heavy, deliberate. Tywin Lannister entered with host of Crimson Knights. He halted before the chamber threshold. His gaze swept white cloaks, then Ned. "Step aside," Tywin commanded. I claim my grandchildren for safekeeping. The realm will not abide treason. Ned's voice rang clear. Treasure your words, my lord. You stand in the king's chambers, unbidden. Tywin's gauntlet flexed. I stand where duty calls. He lifted a parchment bearing Robert's stag seal. His grace, lucid an hour ago, signed this order naming me protector until his heir ascends. Catelyn stepped forward. Forgery. She brandished Pycelle's earlier decree. Same false seal. Same lion wax. Tywin's gaze flickered to Pycelle, who quailed behind Barristan. The maester has weak hands, Tywin said. Perhaps wax spilled. Enough riddles, Ned said. The king's own mouth will speak come morning. He raised ice point a fraction. Until then, leave. Tension coiled. Tywin's soldiers advanced half-pace. The king's guard braced. Then Tywin lifted a hand. Very well, he said, voice calm as a frozen river. Yet morning may dawn red, Lord Stark. Consider whose blood paints the stones. He turned, cloak sweeping like a closing curtain. When the hallway emptied, Catelyn exhaled shakily. We hold till dawn. Barristan nodded, eyes glinting. Dawn then. They barricaded doors, posted guards, sat vigil. Night dragged like a wounded beast, torches hissed low. Robert stirred, muttered. Catelyn dozed upright, head on Ned's shoulder, dreaming of snow driving across Winterfell's battlements, wolves howling beneath ancient weirwoods. Just before the sky paled, thunder faded to distant grumble, and a hush fell heavy. A single raven cawed from the rookery tower. Robert Baratheon opened his eyes. They were clear blue, not clouded. He grimaced at Bandage, then saw Ned and Catelyn and Kingsguard. What devilry keeps me in bed while lions roar? He croaked. Ned's breath caught. My king, he said with quiet wonder. Welcome back. Robert pushed onto elbows, wincing. Tell me all, swiftly. I feel I have missed a battle, and I hate missing battles. Ned began speaking, voice low but urgent, recounting forged decrees, gold cloak betrayal, Tywin's arrival. Robert's face darkened with each detail. At last, Robert swung legs over bed. Maester Renfred protesting. I'll hear them in the throne room, he declared. Fetch my damn crown and my hammer if I can lift it. He gave Catelyn a wry grin. Your northern stubbornness kept me alive, I think. She smiled faintly. Your love of ale kept you too heavy for death to carry, your grace. He barked a laugh, then winced. Soon, braced between Loras and Barristan, Robert limped into the corridor, flanked by white cloaks and stark guards. Word raced ahead, king risen. Servants bowed wide-eyed. When they entered the throne room, Tywin and Cersei were already there. Lion banners draped behind the Iron Throne, as though conquest completed. Shock rippled when they saw Robert real and wrathful. Robert's roar shook rafters. Who sits my throne without leave? Cersei recovered quickest, sweeping to kneel. Husband. Silence. He looked past her to Tywin. I hear talk of forged orders. Speak. Tywin bowed stiffly. I acted to secure the realm, seeing your grace's fragile health. Robert glared at Pycelle. Did I sign such filth? Pycelle trembled. Your grace? I cannot recall. Robert slammed a mailed fist on the step, the sound echoing. Then you recall now. I signed nothing of the sort. He turned to Ned. You hold the dagger and the book? Ned nodded, presenting both. Robert's eyes drank in the Valyrian steel, the lineage entries. He beckoned Renly forward. Red. Renly recited hair colors, heritage lines. Robert's mouth firmed, sorrow flickering beneath anger. He looked at Cersei. She held his gaze, defiant tremor in jaw. Robert spoke, voice low but carrying. Answer me one question, wife. Are these children mine? Silence spread like frost over pond. Even banners stilled. Cersei glanced at her son's golden heads upon gallery above. Their innocence or guilt meaningless before truth. Then she straightened, skirts rustling like unsheathed blades, and said, No. Gasps burst. Tywin's veneer cracked, eyes widening a fraction. Jaime stepped forward instinctively. Robert closed eyes, weight of betrayal crushing posture. He breathed out a single word. "Why?" Cersei's voice trembled with fierce pride. "Because a drunken stag cannot sire lions. Because a king who loved his mistress ghost more than his own wife deserves a cuckoo's brood." Tears glittered, but did not fall. Robert's hand rose, paused, shaking. He lowered it. "Guards," he rasped. "Take the Queen and Prince Joffrey into custody. Myrcella and Tommen too, but gently. They are children misled, not traitors." Soldiers hesitated. Then Barristan motioned, and white cloaks guided the stunned prince and weeping princess toward Maidenvault. Tywin's face hardened into mask of iron. "You arrest my blood," he said. Robert turned a gaze of raw anguish on him. "Your blood cuckolded me and endangered the realm." He inhaled slow pain. "You have until sunset to ride for Casterly Rock. Swear no vengeance and your lands remain. Defy me, and I will march." Tywin's mouth curved into a bare smile. "March then," he said. He bowed, cloak swirling, signaled bannermen. They strode out, Jaime lingering to trade one silent, unreadable glance with Cersei before following. The doors slammed, reverberations fading. Robert sagged, supported by Ned. He looked to his friend. "I have no heir," he whispered. "Bastards, yes, but none legitimate." Renly knelt. "Your Grace, the realm looks to you. Title your heir, we will honor him." Ned spoke quietly. "Stannis is your true-born brother." Robert's lips twisted. "Stannis?" Hard and unforgiving. He sighed. "Yet stone holds walls." "Summon him." Catelyn stepped forward. "There is one more matter, Littlefinger." Robert frowned. "Hanged himself, I hear. Or was murdered to still his tongue," Ned added. Robert rubbed temples. "Put the city to rights first. I grieve enough for one morning." He met Catelyn's eyes. "And you, my lady, thank you." She dipped her head, feeling relief wash, tinged with dread over Tywin's withdrawal. Ned watched her, a spark of hope flickering, though embers of war glowed in the distance. Outside, bells tolled midday, clear, unwavering, ringing across rooftops slick with stormwash. On King's Landing's coils of streets, folk looked up, whispering of kings who rise and queens who fall, of lions driven out by stags and wolves. Standing sentinel, tar-black ravens circled above the red keep as if bearing witness. And in the hush that followed, a fragile peace settled. No one dared breathe too loud lest it shatter. Yet beneath that still surface, soldiers spurred out of Lion Gate, banners streaming west. At the docks, Dragonstone galleys furled sails. North ravens arrowed toward Winterfell, carrying tidings of treason and survival. The game board remained, but its center had shifted. Ned placed a steadying hand upon Robert's shoulder, while Catelyn clasped his other hand. Three friends, weathered by storm, stood before the Iron Throne. Together, for the moment holding the realm between them like fragile glass. And outside the sun broke through cloud for the first time in days, casting shards of gold upon dull metal blades, as if the seven themselves paused to judge what mortal hearts would carve from morning's uncertain light.